Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Astrology for Beginners. This is video number 7 out of 30 in total, and you'll be able to find all of the videos. They run for about 10 or 15 minutes each on the playlist on my channel. It's easy to find. The playlist is like a table of contents. Just look for Astrology for Beginners, hit that, and you'll be able to go in there and have a look at things. Now this video is dealing with the first of the star signs. The previous videos we dealt with were with the symbolic and mystical signs of the planets, the planetary symbols. The symbols have not just been made up, but they result from thousands of years of highly intelligent people, many of whom were mystics, devising the symbols to show in a metaphorical way what that something unseen, those words unspoken or unable to be heard in human language or senses, have to tell us about the nature of our reality. Astrology is, for me, as you can see from looking at my website, it is like a code provided to us, which, if we can unravel it, will show us here on this plane of existence where we fit in, where we came from, and where we are going. But nevertheless, let's talk about Aries. Well, and the Aries symbol. Well, the symbols of the zodiac originated after careful observation of nature and of cosmic humanity by the ancients, seers, many of whom are mystics. Now, the knowledge that I'm going to share with you today, as previously the knowledge relating to the signs of the planets, by and large, has just been handed down orally from mystic to mystic. But if you are going to be embarking upon the study of astrology and want to know what it's about, then you may as well know what the actual fundamental basis of astrology is. And so that's what we're doing today. Now, there are many processes and changes, subtle changes in energy that occur from one form to another of your soul before we come into manifestation. In fact, changes in energy before anything comes into manifestation. And this also goes to symbolize the growth of the soul, and in particular, your level of consciousness. The soul goes from being totally unmanifested to being concrete, or to being manifested in this world, and concreted, or there's a concretization being made tangible in the form of the human being. Now let's have a look at the sign for Aries. Now the changes, incidentally, that come about in consciousness and from one form of energy to another, which lead to all things in matter appearing and to you appearing in matter, that process is one which is beyond language. It is beyond thought. It is one which, because evolution has suited us not to know the truth, but rather to live long enough to breed and rear children, our senses are unable to detect it. But there is an intuition within you. There is the soul listening within you. Now, to decipher the basic qualities of zodiacal forces and of their energies, we have to move beyond the written word, beyond language, and therefore grasp, using your inner sense, intuition, and insight, and standing on the shoulders of giants who have gone before us, the knowledge of the seers and the mystics who have preceded us. Now, let's have a look. We'll just do a quick, and of course I'm doing this by hand because I think it's more personal, but we see, by and large, the Aries symbol being like this, don't we? That's what it is. We see it like this. That's the sign that you see. But in order to give an explanation as to why it's there, now some people say that that's a ram's head. You're the horns of a ram because it's Aries, so be it. Some people say that it is the tongue of a serpent. Certainly that is the case in the subcontinent, in India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. People have known it as such, and if they help you to memorize the sign, good enough. But it's good that you know their mystical underpinning as well. Now, I'd like you to consider first the straight line itself. This vertical line, which is contained in the glyph for the sign of Aries, symbolizes eternal being in spirit. It is eternal being in spirit. It is the positive, creative impulse. It is that aspect of the divine unfoldment which really needs nothing and requires nothing to be other than itself. Now, on its divine pilgrimage, it then decides to split into two branches. That's where we start to see what we thought were those horns, but as you can see, I'm not suggesting they are horns at all. Maybe make the sign a little bit longer on the vertical axis. So we see that the spirit then decides to break into two forms. This is a polarization of this divine spirit, and it is the creation, it is the appearance, the mystical, spiritual acknowledgement of the male and female principle, which is within all of creation. Now, this process is really also the merger of matter and form from out of spirit, because these things here can relate to matter. There's an arc curling that way and an arc curling that way, and they emerge from out of the spirit. Now, Aries stands for the process in which non-existence is transformed into objective material existence. That's the key to Aries. It's the process. It symbolizes the process in which non-existence is transformed into material objective existence. In other words, it symbolizes the process by which matter and the universe emerges from out of spirit. Now, at this point, the cosmic creative process is in full bloom, and it sprouts in these two directions. One might even say that it sprouts into two leaves. Well, the first creative act contains within it all, in embryonic form, all of the subsequent materialization which is going to occur in the universe. Objective matter, this objective matter which we see here, it cannot exist without spirit. Were we to take away the divine spirit, or were the divine spirit to be taken away, matter would cease to exist completely. And that's the essence of Aries. It's that spiritual, it's that divine impulse to create the material form. Now, once there has been an externalization of spirit into matter, matter then pervades that spirit, and it goes all through it. So you are, if you like, as I am, and everything else in existence is, a real cocktail of spirit and matter. When I say in existence, in material existence, there are other levels of existence, which is the subject of a different video. So that's what this is talking about. It's talking about the complete immersion of spirit and matter together as a result of that primeval creative process that came about. Now, pure consciousness cannot be perceived by us using our five senses. Because evolutionary, the material human, that's not how we've evolved. We haven't evolved that way. In a sense, in fact, it can only, the other realm, pure consciousness, can be perceived, but it's by intuition. And I'm sure there are moments of transcendence which you have had, where you have perceived something which is bigger and grander than yourself. That is exactly the process that you are going through. Now, in a sense, this vertical line has engaged in something of a self-sacrifice, which culminates in because this is pure spirit. It's completely happened by itself. And in a sense, then, there is a self-sacrifice into this changing, this male and female, into these opposites. And it can be positive, negative. You notice how everything in the universe seems to come in twos, up, down, backwards and forwards, in and out. Everything seems to come into this duality which appears in the universe. Well, what happens is that the two arcs really then do also symbolize universal manifestation. The spreading arcs link this sign of Aries with the evolution on the material plane and its existence. Now, there's another thing which I might just quickly say by way of addition here, only because I'm talking about self-sacrifice there. There is another form of a cross which you might be aware of, and I'll just do it like that. You can see it. That's a plane. It looks like the letter T. In fact, the Greek word for T is tau, and that's known as a tau cross. And there we have the intersection of spirit with matter as well. And then with the descent of spirit into matter and its reascent, then we have this cross, which is familiar to people of the Christian tradition, where there was a descent of the divine into human form, such there was somebody who was completely divine and completely human who ended up on the cross. But of course that cross was around much longer than the Christian tradition. Now I might also say that the concept of the incarnation of divinity into humanity is not unique to the Christian tradition. The Hindu audience will be well aware of the Lord Krishna, and I recommend to you the Bhagavad Gita, particularly chapter 7, which speaks of most beautifully what Krishna was, where he is both human and man. Look, the other thing is that I'll say this, which is for Aries, and this is something which is also the case. If you look at Aries symbol in this way, here you have the commencement of matter, or of the human soul, if you like, into matter, of course always contained within spirit, and that's the beginnings of things. And Aries are renowned for the start of things, for beginning, for things that are new. And then there is if we were to continue this cross, and I'll just do it like this around this way, ultimately going through the evolution of a life, or through evolution of the cosmos itself, there is finally this urge to reconnect with the divine in this arc of the cross that's there. I just mention that for you because mystically that is also important. So there is the desire to be free, for the soul to be free of the shackles of bondage. Now, together, these arcs really lead to deeper layers. Aries can lead to deeper layers of materialization. It stands for deeper layers of materialization, and also for this tremendous exertion needed for the release from material bondage. The only other thing that I'll say is this about Aries, is that the ram is associated with Aries, as you would know, Aries the ram. Well, The ram, the symbology of the ram is that it is fresh, that it is new, that it is innocent, that it is playful. The ram appears in virtually all religions around the world, and it represents the latent goodness which is about to sprout as matter develops. In the same way that these two leaves, and Aries tells us this is a seed, it's coming down here, it's going to sprout and show its divine qualities. The two wings attached to this vertical line, in fact, really stand for the sprouting of divinity in humans, which takes place through evolution and through the different phases of materialization that occur in this life and elsewhere. I'd also say this by way of completion, that the sign represents the entire process of that coming into matter, learning and booming and showing the glory of the divine through materialization in a micro sense, that is as you as an individual, or me as an individual, and in a macro sense, that is that of the universe that we see as a whole. The whole thing is created to show and to work for the longing for the reunion with God and to permit the sprouting of divine love. Well, that's the sign for Aries. Different, isn't it, to that which you were probably expecting. You haven't read that in any books, I'd say. Next time, we're going to do the sign for Taurus. So until then, remember one thing, and it's this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, it's bye for now.